Good evening. 52 days, 50, 54 days until I run the entire length of Germany. Welcome back. One of my goals for this little endeavor, for this project, considering of course that this documentary series, this self-documentary series is a separate project to the run, was that I, at least to some degree, pay attention to my language. I want to avoid using pointless words, filler words, little details that come across poorly. But language is a tricky thing. You know? When I write, for example, first and foremost, I don't do it into a camera, so no one can see what happens on paper. If I fuck up, you know? But more importantly, when I write, there is almost a freedom to the amount of time I can take into crafting a sentence, even a word. With this, because I'm being recorded, and even if it's not a primary focus, to some degree in the back of my head, I know that it's being consumed. I do try to pay attention to not making the pauses in between words or sentences too long, right? So all of a sudden, when I record myself speaking in the evenings like this, I do speak in a way a little different than I would on a day-to-day basis. I believe, however, if I were to do this, for example, for a year or two, I would probably begin speaking like this very quickly all the time, which would be great. But that's not even why I began this whole rant, really. What I wish to say is this. When I began this project with the self-documentation series, I promised you that I would be honest throughout it. There already has been one episode that didn't go up because I said in the recording things that, looking back, I couldn't necessarily agree to 100% were true. Things regarding my own convictions. So, in the spirit of being honest, I wonder, to which degree do you allow complete honesty if complete honesty requires of you to speak of yourself poorly, badly, to place yourself in a bad light? Because I want to be vulnerable, I do. And I want to show to you that this process, to become the individual, to become a man who runs across a country in 61 days, averaging a marathon every single day, requires of you to fail repeatedly all the time. Quite frankly and honestly, I feel like that's all I've been doing since January. But it's tricky. Because the way we speak of ourselves is very, very important. And it's very dangerous to speak of yourself poorly. It's a bad spiritual practice. Why? Well, if you believe, for example, that you, the concept, the construct of you, is not your thoughts, but you are the entity that experiences the thoughts. All of a sudden, you have to become quite choosy with what you really want to entertain, what you wish to entertain. Because you're going to experience a variety of thoughts and feelings. It's kind of part and parcel of being human. I have moments in my life, especially during like training, I have moments where I feel like a god. I feel full of rage and testosterone and power, and I flex and I scream and I dance and I move like a weirdo, and I'm all of a sudden I have the enthusiasm of a 4-year-old, but manifesting with the power and the vigilance and the ferociousness of a 25-year-old man who wants to bring a country to its knees. It's a beautiful cocktail. But equally so, I have experienced feelings and states of being where I think very little of myself. I think poorly of myself. Usually, I have to admit when I'm not really doing enough, and when I know somewhere within myself, both consciously, both cognitively and spiritually, a part of me knows, you said you'd do it, you didn't do it, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do this, and you're on your phone now, and you ate this, like all these little failures that accumulate into, you know? So it's tricky. To which degree am I going to be honest with you, transparent with you and myself in these conversations without speaking poorly of myself? You see, I think highly of myself. I respect myself very much. And the man I wish to be, the man I wish to grow into, the man I wish to manifest in this world would not speak poorly of himself. He will grow the capacity to show weakness, yes. He will admit to his failures, yes. But there's a clear distinction between admitting to your own failures and speaking poorly of yourself. And over the past few days, I felt poorly. I felt lazy and I felt slow. The epiphany I had was regarding, in fact, this intense urge and desire to fall back into my very intense patterns, to bring out of me again this warlike mentality. So here's what I've learned over the past few days about myself, about the world, about everything. Number one, you're most likely tired, not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too little of that which ignites within you a fiery passion. And that could be anything. But based off of my experiences over the past few days, and accumulatively based on the experiences of my life, you are not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're not doing enough of that which lights within you passion and fire and all that good stuff, you know? So maybe try that. And that could be anything. That doesn't have to be running and training and screaming and grunting and sticking to a routine. That could just be going for a walk. That could be reading a book in the forest. That could be speaking to animals. It could be anything. As long as it's true to you, you're fine. Do more of that. Much more. Much more. Secondly, I've mentioned before that to make this run happen, I need a lot of money. At least to make this happen to the degree that I want to make it happen. You see, my vision for the run is not only me running across Germany. My vision for the run is me running across Germany in the company of my camera documentary team, telling a story, creating art, sharing my individual experiences growing up in homelessness, the effect that alcoholism has had on my family, my childhood, my life. And one of my biggest dreams for this run was to have this team there so that they could just document everything, but not for an audience, for us. Like, this is what I take most issue with this whole entire project. To make it happen, I need so much help. And I have such a low, small media presence or following that companies who potentially could help can't really take me seriously because my audience is too small for them to engage, to work with me so that I sell their products to you as an audience, right? So to make that one happen, I need a bigger audience. To have a bigger audience, I need to engage more with social media and put myself out there more and share videos and pictures and whatever content, right? And here's the thing. I'm new to this, so of course, I'm not approaching it perhaps always with the confidence I should. And though I completely understand that it's very much a situation of just suck it up and do it, which I'm a big fan of, generally speaking, I can't ignore what I'm doing this run for. And I'm doing this run because running to me is a very spiritual and intimate experience. Today, my second training of the day was a 10K run, and I didn't want to go. I was tired, I was behind schedule, I knew it would be late when I got back. My foot was hurting, and I had all of a sudden all these reasons not to go. I still went, which sometimes getting out the door is more difficult than actually running. And I did not regret going out. It was amazing. It was fantastic. It was in the evening. It was slowly getting dark. I was on the roads. They were empty. And I listened to very gentle music. I highly recommend A Reason to Sing by Joseph Solomon. A sensational song. Very gentle, very beautiful, very soothing and caring. Anyway, I'm running and I realize during this run, this is what it's about for me. In the stillness of the landscape, a conversation with myself, without any words. A conversation with everything that I'm feeling, with memories, with dreams, with aspirations, with visions. I am at my most creative when I run. Either when I run or when I'm at a desk in the middle of the night writing. I am so incredibly creative in those moments. I don't want anything to infiltrate that. And now when I go out running, I have to think, I have to record myself running, screaming into the camera, 53 days until I run the entire length of... And I get it. Who the fuck am I to complain about this? It's preposterous to complain about my circumstances. I have so much more than I could possibly need, really. But I don't care about people seeing me do this. I don't care about people admiring me for doing this. For the first time in my life, I'm doing something where I genuinely could not give two shits about what people think of me if I do this. which is liberating, which is amazing, which feels fantastic. It really does. It feels healthy, you know? But I also want to make something of myself. I do. I want a legacy. And of course, this documentary team could help me battery's almost dead. This documentary team could help me lay the foundation for something bigger in the future. You know, if I have the documentary team with me for this project, when I announce the next bigger run, which is going to be significantly bigger, and I already have planned, that's the real dream, companies will have it easier to take me seriously because they will see, oh, he's done this before, this is what it looked like, blah, 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 blah. So there's like the business side of it where I feel pressure because I'm 25 and I want to start making something of myself. I want to figure out a way to make money with this to some degree at least, to make a living and exist. But secondly, I want them with me there so that we can all just engage in the creative experience of becoming something. Excuse me. I want to see Flo and Hugh and Angus and Christina in their creative element. I want to learn from them how they narrate a story through the lens of a camera, which angles they use and what they have to take into consideration when recording audio and light, and just generally speaking, what they think of when they think of documenting an individual on something like this. But I also want the pictures. I want the stories. I want the videos for myself, you know, for my brother, for my family, for my children. I want to look back in 50 years and be like, yeah, I mean, I want to tell my grandson, you know, like, yeah, you're cool, but, you know, I ran across countries, so, you know. And to make all of this happen, I need help. I need these sponsors and companies. And inevitably, they need to know that I am a worthy gamble, at least to some degree. And I have 700 followers on Instagram now. That's not really impressive. So I have to stay on the horse. I have to stay on the ball. But I've noticed the past couple of days, it's been annoying. It's been unhealthy how much I've thought about followers and engagement with my content. Like, I don't know. Perhaps I'm just new at this and that's why. I don't know. So that's been bothering me. That's been on my mind lately. Ideally, I'd post 2 reels a day on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook every single day. I'm thinking one of me whilst running, saying into the camera the typical shtick of 50 something days until I run, you know, and then a second one that's edited with like cuts and a voiceover and like an explanation of my day where I explain what I eat, where I've been, what I've done, what I felt, just to boost the engagement. And generally speaking, there's no need to stress because if I fail to find sponsorship, I'll just run on my own. I'll take a backpack with me and I'll do it on my own. I don't care. Like, I wouldn't mind. But I've committed to the idea of making this a whole film, an event and happening. And I also want to make this happen for the team. So, just do more. Get into it. Sleeves up. Get to work. Yeah. Today's run was beautiful, really. My foot was kind of fucked. But on my way back, the last 3K or so, 4K, it had already gotten really dark. And I was running, though on the road, it was very much in the countryside. And it was beautiful. Like, I had all these ideas for poems. You know? Anyway. minutes already, my God. Time fucking flies. There's more I wish to say, but I think that's enough for today. I think that's fine for now. I'm going to what? You know, sometimes how you do something is all that matters. And sometimes just getting it done is all that matters. Today was one of those days where just getting everything done was all that mattered. And I had to remind myself when I was in the gym of the thing I said in the first episode of this series, which was, if you can't handle your current circumstances, you have no interest in wishing for more. Like if you can't handle the current level of life that you're at right now, there's no point in wishing you were already here, in a better situation, with better circumstances. Because a better situation and better circumstances would also inevitably require of you more of that which you can't manifest down here. Because the only reason you haven't risen is because you haven't taken care of this yet. And call me esoteric, loony, or whatever, but I do believe that there are powers at work that make sure you do not leave this place until you've outgrown it. The tests you need to pass are always going to be the same until you've passed them. And I believe full-heartedly that it is within your capacity to pass them. Like, you can. It just requires more of you. But there's more within you as well, so just be patient. Don't sink the ship. Stay on the horse. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna work. In the next episodes, I want to speak about Conor McGregor a little bit, especially his rise to greatness. I've kind of teased a few times here and there, I believe, that I think it to be a thing of beauty, but there are specific things I want to address that I've been kind of looking at. I don't want to say studying because that's a little too detailed, but I've been looking at them and picking stuff up. And I also want to speak about God. Those two things I want to cover soon. I've been developing a relationship to whatever God is. Stoicism is another big thing I want to speak about. But it's already been 25 minutes almost, so I'm going to cut it off here. For anyone who's made it to the end of the video, you're a legend. Thank you for your time. I hope you're getting something out of this. I am, but it's, I'm the one speaking, so. If I were to leave you with anything today, I would leave you with this. Make a conscious effort to remind yourself sometimes what you've already been through. Make it a conscious effort to remind yourself of what you've already succeeded at, what you have conquered, what you've risen from. The one thing that makes us all special as a species is our ridiculous capacity to withstand things. That's what makes the human spirit, the human being, incredible. Amongst other things, calves, for example. But yeah, we are incredibly resilient. And if you're interested in something like this, in watching some guy talking to a camera for almost 30 minutes, speaking about similar topics, it is very clear to me that you are also a resilient person. Not only because you've made it so far in the video, but you're part of the human collective, you know? So. Yeah, remind yourself sometimes. Remind yourself remind yourself what it took to try and stop you. And if you're still here listening, not dead, clearly it failed, no? So, if you ask me, you're pretty fucking cool. Pretty fucking, one might say, strong. Yeah. God, I wonder how cheesy I sound sometimes. Yeah, anyway. It's late, again. I hit the sheets. Thank you for listening. I wish everyone who's watching this in the evening a good night, and everyone else a sensational day. Until next time, until tomorrow. Much love.